so that they can understand it.
Okay. I was born in Wisconsin on January 26, 1884. When I was a kid, my favorite book was Robinson Crusoe. I always loved the outdoors. I wanted to be an explorer when I grew up. When I was 9 years old, my dad gave me a shotgun and taught me how to use it safely. I used it to collect specimens and taught myself taxidermy. When I was young, I made money by doing taxidermy for hunters. Taxidermy, just FYI, is the science of stuffing animals. My favorite subjects were literature, biology, geology, geography, and chemistry. While I was in college, I was involved in a canoeing accident. One of my friends drowned. This incident was a big influence on me. I made sure no one else would ever die on any of my adventures from then on. In 1906, I got my first job after college with cleaning floors at the American Museum of Natural History because I had no other jobs available. I worked in the museum's Department of Taxidermy and helped set up exhibits. At night, I took classes at Columbia University and studied zoology. In 1907, I collected the skeleton of a dead whale from a Long Island beach for the museum, and then I studied it. The next year, the AMNH sent me off by myself to collect skeletal specimens of Pacific Ocean whales. I also observed whale behavior by going to sea on a whaling ship. I got seasick a lot. But I was the first naturalist to observe the birth of a baby whale. And the museum sent me to explore Burma, Korea, southern China, and French Indochina, which modern day people would know as Vietnam. In 1913, I received a master's degree in zoology from Columbia. During World War I, I was a spy for U.S. Naval Intelligence while exploring in Asia. In 1916, I published my first book, Whale Hunting with Gun and Camera. Now I was ready to study something new. Dr. Osborne, the director of the AMNH, sent me to Central Asia to look for fossils of early man, which he believed migrated there over land bridges. In 1917 and 1919, I traveled to the Gobi Desert in Mongolia to look for evidence that would prove Dr. Osborne's theory. I didn't find anything. I loved Mongolia, but while I was there, my wife and I were nearly eaten by wild dogs. These scouting trips taught me the difficulties of exploring the Gobi, and I made plans for what I would call the Central Asiatic expeditions. I was a good leader and had a gift for getting people to work together and for getting people to donate funding for my expeditions.
Okay, take your time.
I came up with the idea of using automobiles as well as traditional camels on my expeditions in the Gobi. I also brought my German Shepherd Wolf and my pet vulture with me, but not my wife. From 1922 to 1930, I explored the Gobi. There were bandits and other dangers, including political strife. I was looking for early man, but I found no human remains. I did actually find some Neolithic and Paleolithic monuments and stuff, but I didn't find any evidence of early human ancestors. Instead, I found many other interesting fossils. When it came to excavating, I used brute force, not finesse. My chief paleontologist, Walter Granger, and his assistant, George Olson, had to slow me down when it came to digging things up. They would uncover the fossil and then cover it in a jacket of plaster and burlap for transport back to the AMNH. One time we ran out of supplies, and we had to use cooking flour and torn up underwear and pajamas to jacket our fossils until more supplies came. We also used camel hair for extra padding. In April 1922, we found a site called Kuskuk near the Altai Mountains with many fossils, including dinosaur bones. These came from an early ceratopsian herbivorous dinosaur. Should I say the name of the dinosaur? I'll say the name when somebody guesses who I am, but
Do we know?
any guesses as to what the dinosaur might be?
What do you think?
You first, and then you. What'd you say?
Everett?
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No. You?
Raptor?
No.
Ceratopsian. It's a ceratopsian.
It is.
It is protoceratops.
No.
Well, protoceratops was an early ceratopsian.
It was, but this wasn't the one I'm talking about. At least not here. Anyway. Let's see. In September, we found another promising site, but we had to leave because it was almost winter. In 1923, we returned and we found a site which we called the Flaming Cliffs, or as the locals called it, Shabarak Usu, which dated to 80 million years ago. We found fossilized eggs, which we determined were dinosaur eggs. Others had actually found dinosaur eggs before us, but they had misidentified them as bird eggs. We found a huge number of eggs. We found some eggs under the fossilized remains of a dinosaur with a parrot-like beak. It was not a ceratopsian. Any guesses as to what that one might be? Yes?
A pterodactyl?
No. No. Okay, I'll continue. We found other species of dinosaurs, including small carnivorous theropods, the herbivorous iguanodon, and many examples of early ceratopsians. One of the ceratopsian species is actually named after me. We also found the skull of what we thought was an unidentified reptile. Later at the museum, when it was studied, they realized it was actually an early mammal, a rodent, and they sent us a telegram asking to look for more early mammal fossils. At the time, only one other mammal from the age of reptiles had been discovered in South Africa. We also found an early rhinoceros called Bellicopherium, a shovel-toothed mastodons, platybilodons, and a thin sedimentary rock called paper shale that had plant and insect fossils. In 1930, we were forced to leave the Gobi forever because of political strife. I became the director of the American Museum of Natural History in 1935. I retired from the museum in 1941 and spent the rest of my life writing books about my adventures. I died in 1960. Who am I?
Now, didn't you say that you started working at the American Museum of Natural History cleaning the floors?
Yes.
And then you died as the retired head of the whole museum?
Yep.
Wow, that's really impressive. So I don't think anybody knows your actual name, but we should, so please tell us, Michael.
Okay. I am Roy Chapman Andrews.
Roy Chapman Andrews.
The species of dinosaurs that I mentioned before were that early ceratopsian I mentioned is called Psittacosaurus mongoliensis. That dinosaur with a parrot-like beak over the eggs was called Oviraptor Phyloceratops. Egg thief who is fond of ceratopsians. We found other species of dinosaur. Oh yeah.
Which is the one that's named for you?
I'll get to that in a second. We found the first specimens of Velociraptor mongoliensis, and the dinosaur that was named after me is called Protoceratops andrewsi.
Are you ready for Everett? All right, Everett, it is time.